TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome to In the Batter's Box. My name is Scott Webb, and it is Sunday. Today is the last day before the All-Star break. So I don't expect anything goofy in terms of these guys sort of checked out and wanting to take their break and all that stuff. And you know, I just don't think that we're going to run into that too much. The problem with that is that's one of those things that you really cannot handicap either. You know, hey Marty Lowe, how are you, brother? Good to see you. And I think that, you know, when you're doing these things and you're trying to obviously gamble and wager and make money, there's a lot of different aspects to what your handicap looks like. But I don't think that's one of them. I don't think that you want to sit there and try to go down a lineup and go, well, this guy's got motivation to play today, and you know, this guy doesn't, or something. You know, like this guy wants to take his break and go spend his 4 or 5 days and you know, just kind of hang out or whatever. I don't think that's kind of how you do it. So you know, I think we'll just not even get there. So it is not something that I'm going to address that way. So as we go along and as we're doing this show today, there's a couple of things. One, I have a request to do a breakdown for the Milwaukee Brewers game today, so we're going to do that. Mr. Jenkins asked for that, so we will break that game down. But I'm going to do a couple of things one thing in particular before that, because of time and circumstance. You know, it's 12 o'clock. Most of these games, you know, the Yankee game started already. I didn't have a play on that one anyway, but I think that I kind of try to do these in time order. I think if I do it that way, it's just better. I don't run real short on time because I'm trying to keep these things to a half an hour, and they just keep going longer and longer. So hopefully I can get this thing done faster. So there's a game at 1:30. I'm going to do one there. The Brewers game starts at 2, so I'm going to fit it in right there. So Mr. Jenkins, if you're listening or watching, I'm going to fit it in after I do another game. And then I got 2 late games. So anyway, that's kind of how the agenda looks in terms of breakdowns. And then if you have any other games that you want me to do, then just put them in the comments, and I will be glad to do that. It's not a problem at all. Hey Jay Barry, how you doing, brother? I liked your Twitter post. I thought that was awesome. If you guys aren't following Jay, go follow Jay. He puts out a lot of good stuff, and he just put out something great about the way you think, and upward thinking and downward thinking, and I'm all about stuff like that. You know, with Jeff and I used to do the show, and one of the things that we used to do, or he'd have me do, is at the end of the show, I would always put in, you know, my 2 cents, so to speak, and with that, you know, it was one of those things that you know, I used to run companies, and I would always relate sports gambling to running a business. And we would have conversations about stuff like that. And there's a lot to that, right? And you know, there's a lot to mindset in this kind of a endeavor that you're doing. And I tell my wife all the time, because we're sort of on opposites attract kind of thing. She's a glass half empty person, and I'm certainly a glass half full kind of person. And when we do stuff, a lot of times I always tell her, look, man, my world is all about negativity and pessimism, and my world is all about losing and winning. And I don't need feedback from her on a bunch of negative stuff, right? Be positive, help uplift the spirit. And if you're not in a world, and she does, I'm just making a point. I'm not saying that she's a bad person. But what I'm trying to say is, surround yourself with people that think positively, that will assist and aid you in the endeavors that you do. And you can bounce ideas and you can get great suggestions from, because the truth is, it's a hard thing to do all by yourself. And mentally tough is a phrase I think that gets used a lot. But I would prefer it to those pictures that you see sometimes when you see these lions and predator animals that have blood all over their face and stuff. And it says, people want to be a beast until they have to do what beasts do. And that's what I think mental toughness really is. And you just have to be real careful, because a lot of that stuff really matters. And how you portray yourself and what you do and what you stand for and all of that stuff. Now we're not into that today. We're doing baseball, so we're going to get back to baseball. Jay, hey, thanks. Says great day for baseball, and you bet, man. Look, the only times that aren't great days for baseball, and I'll be honest, is when spring training's over and you get all excited for baseball, and these teams break from the south down here where I live, and they go up north, and it's 30 damn degrees, and it's snowing and wet and cold and blowing, and that's really when it's not great for baseball. But you get baseball, people go crazy. There's 55,000 people there on opening day that watch a game in 30-degree weather. So it's today will be a great day for baseball. It's always a great day for baseball. And yesterday on the show, we gave out, I ran out of time to actually break down other games. So I just gave out the games that I bet personally myself, and that I gave to my guys that pay for this. And we gave out 4. I don't always give out that many. I mean, look, at one point we're going to get into, how many plays you should make in a day. But the reality of it is I had 4 yesterday. They were exciting games, man. I don't want them to be. I want them to be just, and then they're over, right? But we ended up 3-1. So making money is what it's all about, whether they're exciting or not. As long as we're on the right side of the ledger, the exciting part makes it fun. If it's exciting and you lose, that's no fun. That wasn't exciting. You lost. So, anyway, it was good. If anybody followed those plays, we had a good day yesterday. So today I'm going to put out here 3 plays, but plays are just plays. And Jeff and I talk a lot. Jeff, I bring up Jeff. So if you don't know Jeff, when I say Jeff, his name is Jeff Dawson. Jeff is the CEO of East Coast Sports Investors. He's got this platform, lets me use it. And we've been friends and business partners and colleagues for probably 10 years, maybe more than that. And so when I bring him up, we talk a lot off stage and things. And one of the things he always brings up is, man, I left this game on the desk. And, that was something that, you got to really be careful of. And it's not a bad thing per se, but it's not a good thing either. So when you're going out here and you're handicapping these games, or you've got spots you want to bet, you've got 15 games to choose from in Major League Baseball every day. Certainly, there's some of these games you go across, well, there's no value in that one. I don't like this one. I don't like that one. I don't like this one. you start scratching games off the list. So, but let's just say that say you find 7 spots you want to bet. Well, don't leave any of those on the desk. Not one. Bet all 7. Now, my preface to this is that those 7 bets, or however many bets you have, maybe it's 1 bet, it could be 7, it could be 2, it could be 4. They better be good bets, and you need to know what a good bet looks like. But as long as they qualify as good bets, you've got positive EV on these bets, or you've got a good reason why you're betting it, then don't leave it on the desk. What you do is you budget your bankroll for the day. So if you've got $10,000 in your account and you're budgeted today's wagers are going to be $2,000, and then you got 7 bets, then you just divide your 7 bets into your $2,000. I get it. Not a lot of people have $10,000 in their betting accounts. So if you have, we'll just say it's $500 in your betting account, and your bets today, you wanted to bet $100. Now, that's just making a number up. So, but you got 7 bets. So you're going to take your $100 and divide it by 7, and that's what you're going to bet. So you don't leave any on the table. You're not doing stupid parlays and putting all this stuff together to try to combine them to get them all in. You don't do that. Just whatever you have, you play it. Don't leave it on the table, because 2 nights ago I thought I was 2-1, I think, and the best bet I thought I had was the Minnesota Twins or somebody against the Giants, and the Giants went out and won the game 4-0. So you treat them all unless there's a specific reason why you're stepping out, and you should only step out occasionally. You don't step out all the time. Treat them all the same. No matter, unless you really want to step out on a game, treat them the same, because if you do that, you're going to manage your bankroll better. You'll manage your bankroll better, and you won't be so dependent upon certain plays, right? I mean, if you bet one game at $100 and another game at $50, and you lose the $100 game, well, you're going to need 2 or 3 or 4 out of these $50 bets to make up for that, and you can't afford that because it doesn't work like that. You've got to do other things. So I just got a message here from Skype. I don't know what the heck that is. So anyway, it is what it is, and we are get rid of that off my computer because it's driving me crazy. So as we're going through it, I think it's important to make sure that no worries about how many plays you have. If you have 1, then you have 1. My guys will tell you, sometimes I'll post a thing out there that says bets entered, because they follow me on Twitter, so they don't have to go to the website every 10 minutes and look to see when I put in bets. But the reality is, I'll put it in there, it says bets entered, and they go to the website. I didn't bet anything. But I put a note in there. Hey, look, today I didn't bet today. Because I can't find something that's of value to play. And I've done that. But as we go, we got 3 today, so we're going to do that. So the first game we're going to talk about starts at I think it's 1:35. Okay, and this is where's my doodad over here? There it is. This will be 9:13, 9:14. This is the Kansas City Royals and the Boston Red Sox, and we're going to talk about it. The bet is actually a first 5. So we're going to play this game in the first 5 innings today. I'm going to slide this stuff over so it's easier for me to see with these monitors and stuff going on. We have sort of a spot here where we can get value on a pitcher that's Kansas City's pitcher. This is Brady Singer today. Now, there's a couple of good things in here. I shouldn't say a couple. There's more good things than bad things, but there is a couple of snafu spots. So, as I broke this game down and kind of looked at it, the first thing that I looked at was what's the line value, right? Because that's what I look at first. I have the game at the Boston Red Sox minus 127. And when I bet it, the number was Boston Red Sox minus 143. So that's going to create value on the Kansas City Royals. So when I went in here, and you got what plus 133, it's 2.9% value. So if you made that bet 1,000 times, you're going to expect to get a return of basically 3%. So I like that. So that's your EV positive. We're good to start. We found one that's EV positive. So then we're going to flip this back over, and then the next thing I kind of look at is how do these pitchers in the last 28 days control the opponent's offense? And when you look at Brady Singer, he's a 67. 67 means that he's 33% better than an average pitcher at controlling the opponent's offense. So that's really good, right? He's going to do a good job. And Brian Bello is the pitcher for the Red Sox. And of all the pitchers the Red Sox have, one of them is hurt, Whitlock. Other than Whitlock, he's the worst one, and he's supposed to be the best one. So he's kind of a weird guy. In a sense that he's really young, so maybe there's developmentally going, there's some things they can work with, but he's a 142 over the last 28 days. So he's 42% worse than an average pitcher when it comes to controlling the opponent's offense. So we got a pretty big edge there. So then I kind of looked at it and said, well, Brady Singer, how many times has he pitched against the Red Sox? Well, he's pitched against them twice. I don't necessarily use this as gospel, but they got to pitch a couple of times at least. He's pitched 12.23 innings, only give up 10 hits. He's got an average game score of 60 against the Red Sox, so he's done pretty well. His earned run average is 2.13 against the Red Sox. So he's faced them a couple of times, done well against their lineup. So I kind of like that. And then when I kind of looked at, some of these other breakdowns, on the season, Brian Bello is a 145 SOPS plus, so he's 45% worse than an average pitcher at home. So if you had to choose, when you start breaking these down and you kind of look at them, and I've got them broke down by day, night, home and away, in the last 28 days and by the season, when you look at them, you're going to say, well, if I was going to bet on this pitcher in this situational format, when would I want to do it? Well, Brian Bello, you would want to bet on away because he's a 108 away, and at night he's a 126. So you wouldn't want to bet on him during the day, and you wouldn't want to bet on him at home, and you don't want to bet on him in the last 28 days. So he sort of sets up as a perfect spot to look at and go, well, let's just see how well this develops. So the next stage of this is that you go to the starting pitcher report, and over here, their Sierra numbers, xFIP numbers, they're pretty close. They're about the same. So they're both average in that realm. And Brian Bello strikes out more guys than Singer does. So balls in play probably have an edge to the Red Sox here. However, Brian Bello averages 4 walks per 9 innings. So he's putting guys on. So that's not a good thing. His batting average against is 327. So guys are getting hits against him. His whip rate is 1.8. So walks plus hits divided by innings pitched. He's getting 2 guys on base per inning, or almost 2 guys per inning. And Singer, his batting average against is 204 and a 105. So 1 guy on base per inning and 2 guys on base. I'll take the 2 guys on base. So I like the idea that sets up for Kansas City's offense. Hard hit rate, it's similar, but Singer is in the top 25% of all pitchers, only 27% hard hit rate. So that's really good. And his WPA is really what really makes a big difference for him. Winning percent added, it's 0.92 over the last 30 days. I don't think anybody's higher than him he's the best one on the board today. So that means his good stuff, the column of things of getting pitches thrown to get positive outs, ball's put in the right location, all the things that are necessary to get that soft contact, all those things. And then all the negative stuff, you add them up in the other column. When you subtract the two, he's got way, way more best of the day, good stuff to bad stuff. And Brian Bellow is a minus 37. For the season, he's a minus 108. And guys, this stuff compiles. So as his minus 37 means it's added into to make that minus 108. It just keeps compiling over time. I just look at it in 30 days in a rolling for the season. So he's at a spot where he is in the worst 25%. So he makes mistakes. He gets hit. And that tends for me to like this even more. Now, my only issue with the game at all is I don't like to really bet on starting pitchers who had a great start the last time because I know there's regression involved. And that's where Singer is. Singer threw a 68 the last time. His last 3 starts are a 65. So he threw a 59, 72, 57, 68. He's been really good in the last 4 starts. And Brian Bellow threw a 38, which is not real good. But his last 3 starts is a 38, and his last 7 is a 39. So maybe that's his new average. I don't know. So I looked at it and said, well, he threw a 38 off of a 66, 11, 56, 32, 23, 47. That's his last 7 starts. And I like the idea that Brian Bellow, he's going to go through an inning where he's perfect, fine, not a problem. Maybe strikes out 2, and you look at it and go, why'd you bet on this? Well, he has a big inning against him usually. And he we talked about the other day, 15 pitches per inning. And that's kind of where you want your pitcher to be at. Well, if they struggle, typically what ends up happening is a guy will end up with, he'll have 1 out or 2 outs, a guy on base, and he'll be at 20 pitches. And then he walks a guy or something. And then all of a sudden he's got to pitch to another guy. And then all of a sudden he gets to 30. And when they get, in that 25 to 30 range in an inning, they make a mistake over the middle of the plate, and those hitters just damage them. And all of a sudden it's oh my goodness, they score a bunch of runs, and then it's really hard for the pitcher because he's fatigued and mentally going, man, I just thrown 35 pitches or however many he's got to put the ball in the right location. And Brian Bellow runs into that. That once he does that for an inning, he might come out the next inning and throw 10 pitches and get out of it, but get out of that inning. But what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for the Royals to put up at least 1 big inning, and hopefully they get a little bit of consistency and performance from their offense and maybe score a couple times. Because the play is Kansas City Royals in the first 5 innings. And that, I got that my bet was plus 120. And the reality becomes is offensively, the Royals have their times when they're, a top offense. Right now, they're 16th. They're 9th in isolated power. They're 1% better than average. So they're average. So right now, they're middle of the pack, top 10 in isolated power, which is what you want. And they are average team. Well, they got 5 guys right now on offensive WAR over 1. So you like that part of it. And it's led by Bobby Witt Jr. So you like their star being the guy that's driving the bus, right? So then you look at the other side and go, well, what's going on here with the Boston Red Sox? Well, the Red Sox, they're 10th. So they're in the top 10 in offensive WAR, and Kansas City's 16th. So it's pretty close, but Boston's a little better. And Boston's 3rd in isolated power and 24% better in average offense. So the reason we go first 5 is because if Boston has a better offense, I don't want my pitcher to have to face that offense 9 times. I'd rather have him face him 5 times. So I think that's where you have the advantage. And then when Brian Bellow comes out of the game, you throw in the Boston bullpen. And if I switch this to my bullpen stuff, the Boston bullpen has pitched 41 innings and given up 41 hits. The Kansas City Royals have thrown 33 innings, given up 38 hits. So I think you're going to end up with a back end of the game where Boston might have a pitching edge. So I just changed how I want to make this bet, because I don't want to challenge that, and I don't want my offense to have to battle their offense for 9 innings. I want my offense to battle their offense for 5. And I think the pitching matchup, as the starters go, puts me in a position where I think the Kansas City Royals are competitive, and I think that the Kansas City Royals are a good play. Now, you can play this first 5 plus a half a run if you wanted to. So if it's 3-3, you win that bet. Or if it's 1-1, or if it's maybe 3-3, I just made that up. But if it's 1-1 or 2-2 after 5 innings, you win that bet, because you got a plus half a run. But that's minus 120 or something like that. And my thought is, I think they can win this. I think they can win the first 5 innings, and Boston have to come back to beat the Kansas City Royals today. And my number on the first 5 innings in this game, if I pull that up, is Kansas City to score 2.9 runs, so 3 runs, and Boston Red Sox 1.7 runs. That's the first 5 innings, my scoring predictor says. So I'm good with it. I liked it, and I played it. So that's play number 1 was the Kansas City Royals in the first 5 innings. I played them on the money line. So if I tie, I get my money back. I don't win because I didn't play them on the run line. So one of the guys that has been talking to me on Twitter a little bit, and asked about the Milwaukee Brewers today. He thinks they're a good spot. So let's break down the Milwaukee Brewer game. The game starts at 2:10. And that is 9:05, 9:06. And this is Jake Irvin for the Washington Nationals. And this is Colin Ray for the Milwaukee Brewers. So first thing is, I want to look at my numbers on the game. And my number on the game says Milwaukee Brewers minus 118. And the actual number is minus 147. So there's actually value here to bet the Nationals. Now, I didn't bet the Nationals in this game for other reasons, and we'll get into some of this stuff. But the value side is the National side. So let's look at it and go, well, how did we come up with that, and where does this kind of work? So what's really good is the Milwaukee Brewers' Colin Ray, and I'm going to tell you this, guys. When you start to look at things in a different way, you sit there and you go, oh, my God, I didn't know this guy. I didn't know his name. Well, he's made 16 starts for the Milwaukee Brewers. And in those 16 starts, the Brewers are 11-5. So he's a guy you want to bet on, not bet against. So that takes what I just said a minute ago and said, well, the value side's on Washington. And I go, holy crap, I don't want to bet against this guy very bad. I need a lot of reasons to bet against this guy, because he's 11-5. Now, when I looked at the SOPS plus, it's 97 for Colin Ray. So he's 3% better than average. He's an average pitcher. For the season, he's a 100, perfectly average. So I liked the idea that he's average. But what people don't know and probably don't really understand or haven't really delved into enough, because they don't know Washington Nationals team that well, Jake Irvin's dynamite, man. Jake Irvin can pitch. He is a 78 over his last 28 days. So that means he's 22% better than average pitcher. For the season, he's an 81, 19% better than average pitcher. And the guy gets outs. He's really good. For on away games, he's a 63. He has trouble pitching at home for some reason. He's at 109 at home, so he's 9% worse at home, but he's a 63 on the road. So he's 37% better than average pitcher when he pitches away from Nationals Park. And he's super during the day. So like I said a minute ago, if you were going to pick out a situation, right, he's a little bit better in his last 28 days than he's been in the season. So you'd want to bet him now than earlier. He's super on the road, 63 versus a 109 at home. And when you're looking at day games, He's a 53 during day games. So he's 47% better in day games, and he's 113 at night. So I break it down in day and night for a specific reason, because sometimes the way the ball gets released out of pitchers' hands and the motion that they have, or different other things that make them a little more difficult to see the spin or release point or whatever. So there is some truth to those things, but they start to be little things that start to add up. And situationally for Jake Irvin, he's really good. Now he's made 19 starts. The Nationals are a below 500 team, and he's 8-11 in those 19 starts. So it's kind of where you'd expect him to be. So I think that sort of fits into the situation. So now we know, look, Jake Irvin's probably a better pitcher than Colin Ray. Even though Colin Ray's 11-5, he's pitching on a team that's the division front runner right now. So we're going to switch this game back over to starting pitcher, and then we're going to go to let's look at metrics and stuff. Well, metrics wise, they're about the same. So in the last 30 days, we got average numbers. But Colin Ray's not a strikeout guy. So there's going to be balls in play advantage to Washington. He's only got 6.59. Now, Jake Irvin's not the biggest strikeout guy, but he's an average strikeout guy. Both of them are average walk guys. Some of the differences you run into is that over the last 30 days, the xWOBA, so weighted on base percentage, is for Jake Irvin, it's a 264. That's really low. As a matter of fact, 264, there's only 2 pitchers today that are better than him. So that's him, again, controlling the opponent's offense. And Colin Ray's in the average range. He's a 342, sort of high average range. So whip rate, 102, 112. Guys are going to get one guy on base per inning. So it's kind of how do they do and what do they do with it. But here's the significant advantage that I saw for again, this pitcher for Washington. And this is a combined thing here. So WPA, win percent added. Win percent added for Jake Irvin is a 0.65. Really good. 0.65. And for the season, he's a 167. So he's not making a lot of mistakes. Doesn't give the opponents much to go after. Well, unless he's at home, I guess, because at home he wasn't doing that good. And then on the other side of that, you have Colin Ray. Colin Ray's a -21 over his last 30 days. Hey, Amber Holly, how are you? Welcome in. And as we're looking at this, he's a -21 for the season. He's a 0.06. So he's an average pitcher, but right now he's a little bit below average, and he's making more negative impact pitches, outcomes than he is positive ones. But what I thought was and these kind of go hand in hand, but it's really one impacts the other one. So when you're a negative pitcher, the first thing that I want to look at is his hard hit rate. Because if he's getting hit hard, that's a concern. If you can be a negative impact pitcher making mistakes and still have soft contact because of what your stuff is. But his is a 44.2%. Now that's almost half. And 44.2% is the second worst on the board today. So that means he's getting hit as hard as any pitcher on the board except one, and that one is Kikuchi for Toronto. So my concerns are that if you like the Milwaukee side, your offense needs to be super edge bigger because the pitcher side you're not. So let's go look at that. Let's go look at the offense. So offensively, we look at Milwaukee. Milwaukee is 11th in offense. They're scoring 4.5 runs a game, and the Nationals are 18th. So there's an edge there. I don't know if it's a super edge, but there's an edge there. When it comes to isolated power, you get a bigger edge. This is the edge you're kind of looking for. They rank 12th in isolated power, Milwaukee does, and Washington ranks 25th. 25th. That's not very good when there's 30 teams. So there's only 5 teams worse than them. They have to work. That means they got to work to score runs. And they had to work to score runs yesterday, and Dallas Keuchel pitched. So the reality becomes is, where does this lay out? So you got 5 guys on the Milwaukee offense that are carrying the load. Yelich, their big guy, he didn't play yesterday. So as long as he's in the lineup today, he's probably going to do good because he get a day of rest. Those guys come back from those rest days and do well. He's a lefty hitter, and it's a right-handed pitcher in Irvin. Even though he's a good pitcher, Yelich can hit him. So 5 guys good, 2 guys pulling away from the offense. And Washington has 3 guys good and 4 guys pulling away from the offense. So if you're going to make a bet and you're going to bet on Milwaukee today, I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I just think there might be other better bets out there, if that makes sense. I think there's an edge on the Milwaukee offense, and the other part of this you want to look at is think this through to how you want to bet it, because if you look at the bullpen. Right now, I said there's 30 teams. I say this all the time. There's 30 Major League Baseball teams. The Milwaukee Brewers, over the last 14 days, because that's the time frame I look at relief pitchers, they are 30th. That's not very good. There can't be anybody worse than 30th if there's only 30 teams, and they are 30th. They're not doing super well. When it comes to that. Now, Washington is 17th. So what that means is if you're trying to hold a lead like they did yesterday, right? They were trying to hold a lead yesterday and they got beat. If you're trying to hold a lead and you've got the worst bullpen to put out there, that's a pretty difficult ask. One thing that gamblers need to be able to ask yourself, am I asking a team to do something they don't normally do? And if that's the case, if they are normally doing something and you're asking them to do something else, why would you expect them to do something they don't normally do? Because they're people and teams. They consistently do the things that they do. So I'm a little concerned, but not dramatically concerned. If you want to play Milwaukee and you like them and you have a different reason than I've given to bet them, then I think you're okay. But I don't think it's the best bet on the board. I think that it's a spot where, if you like Colin Ray, Colin Ray is 11-5. That's a pretty good way to start. But I think you're running into a pitcher that's pretty good. So I think there's an offset, and I think that my number, and remember my number was, I think, Milwaukee minus 118. So my number, I think, is a better number than the minus 147. It makes more sense to me based on the idea that, you've got a pretty good pitcher pitching for the Nationals. So hopefully that answers your question, and hopefully it's a good breakdown and analysis for you on that game. I got 2 more games for you today. The first game we've got a lot of people that joined in here. So the first game that I gave out earlier today was the Kansas City Royals in the first 5 innings. Singer on the money line plus 120. Now these 2 games are the later games, and I bet this team. This will be the 3rd straight day I bet this team. I didn't do well with them yesterday. The only loss I had yesterday. So the best pitcher, and I got to do this the right way so that I can say it the right way. The best pitcher in baseball right now, and there's 2 ways to look at it. So if I look at it from a projection standpoint and go, what is it going to look like at the end of the year? The best pitcher in baseball, and flip this over to pitchers, there we go, not hitters, is Tariq Skubal. He's a 5.6. And then you have Garrett Crochet at 5.5 WAR. And then you have Chris Sale at 5.2. Okay, 5.2. Now, if I go and I flip these to actual performance of what they're at so far right now, the best pitcher in baseball, Garrett Crochet, 3.9. The next best pitcher, Chris Sale, 3.5. So the expectation is Chris Sale is a pretty dominant pitcher. And let me just say it the best way I can say it. This could be the best season Chris Sale's ever had. He pitched for the Red Sox and had a lot of WAR and was a Cy Young type pitcher. And he did really well. And he's on comparison to that level. Garrett Crochet, who's listed on these things, he's almost done. And I don't mean that in a mean way. It's just looking at his numbers, and we talked about this. He's one of those guys that hasn't pitched a lot of innings, and he's hitting that innings limit right now. So his returns are going to start diminishing, and he's probably not going to. He's not going to finish the season pitching. So he's about done. In terms of what he's going to do altogether anyway. So now we're going to flip this over and we're going to really get into Chris Sale for a second, because when I looked at these numbers and I go, Chris Sale's made 17 starts for the Braves. He's 12-5 in those 17 starts. For the season, he's an SOPS plus 61. So again, he's 39% better than an average pitcher at controlling the opponent's offense. For the season, for the last 28 days, he's a 54. Means he's 46% better than an average pitcher. He's dominating these teams. And then when you look at it from a perspective of on the road, 67, 33% better than average pitcher. He is everything he's doing is dominant. He's pitched in his last 5 starts. He's pitched 30 innings. He's only given up 18 hits. That's it. That's like one hit every other inning. So if you're expecting a lot of runs from San Francisco today, from the Padres today, we need to think that through a little differently, because Sale's going to control that. Now, the other thing is San Diego's offense is much worse against left-handed pitchers than they are right-handed pitchers. In fact, they're like the number 2 or number 3 team in baseball against right-handed pitchers, and they're like 17th or 18th against lefties. So that sets up for Sale again to have a dominant start. And then the pitcher that the Braves are going to face is Randy Vasquez. Now, Randy Vasquez is 4 starts in his last 4 starts, 19 innings he's pitched, 28 hits he's allowed. That's not very good. That's a guy getting crushed. So when you flip it back and I look at the pitchers and break it down just a little more different, Chris Sale has the best metrics of any pitcher on the board today. 2.32 xFIP, 2.32, 2.64 Sierra, 1.88 FIP. You hardly ever get guys in those neighborhoods, and that's where he is. So good luck trying to score runs. His whip rate, 96.96. Barely a guy on base per inning. And his batting average against 173. Home runs allowed, 0.3. He doesn't give them up. So strikeout rate, 13.05 per 9 innings. Balls in play, very few. So here's where a guy like Chris Sale comes in and you go, man, this is a good spot. What's the Padres offense look like? Padres offense right now, 28th out of 30 teams on offensive WAR, 30th in isolated power. They're 43% worse than an average offense. 0 guys, 0, not 1, 0 guys on offensive WAR of +1 or more. They have 4 guys at -1 or more. So they got 4 guys taken away from their offense. There's only 9 guys in the lineup. Half of them are pulling away from the offense. Nobody's adding. They got guys kind of in the middle, but the reality is that's not a good thing. Now, the Braves offense isn't the greatest offense in the world either, but what they do that's really good, even though their offense ranks 23rd, it's still better than where the Padres are. Their isolated power is 7th. They're great at damage. They hit doubles. They hit triples. They hit dingers, right? And Do they have a pitcher they can take advantage of? Well, the answer to that question is yes, because Vasquez, he's a 4.80 xFIP and Sierra's 5.15. 2.5 run difference. 2.5 between the metrics of Sale and the metrics of Vasquez. That doesn't happen very often that you get those metric differences like that. The other thing is he strikes out 5.5 guys per inning, per game, or per 9 innings. I'm sorry. So in that regard, balls are going to be put in play. They're not going to strike out much. They might strike out some, but they're not going to strike out a lot. They're going to hit the ball. And then when you start to break it down and you go out here, he's got a 350 batting average and a 178 whip. So almost 2 guys on per inning, and the Padres are going to struggle putting a guy on base. And 350 batting average. Okay, well, I think the Braves are in a spot here. And here's another kind of tip. When a team like the Braves, a good offense, well, I shouldn't say good offense, a team that you suspect to be a good offense, gets shut out, it's rare that they have that again. They typically bounce back pretty well. And they're going to face a pitcher that they can bounce back against. So I like this game in a sense that Chris Sale dominates the Padres. They're not going to score very much. I would suspect that what's my number say they're going to score today? It says the Padres are going to score 2.7 runs. And then it says that the Braves are going to score 5.86 runs. So basically this is 6 to 3. And that makes a reasonable number, but I think they might struggle to score 3. So if you can get the Braves to score 6 runs, you're going to cover the run line, and I think that's how you play this. I think you trust Chris Sale to go out. You trust him to go deep in the game. That's one of the things that you want from a run line starter, to go 6 or 7 innings. And in his particular deal, he averages 6 innings per start. So that's good if he can get into the 7th inning, and then you bring a guy in to finish the 7th, and then you got the 8th and the 9th, and you got the we talked about bullpens, and you look at where Atlanta is. Atlanta's 6th. They got a good bullpen. They got 41 innings pitched, only 25 hits allowed. So they should be able to keep the Padres from adding those couple of runs that prevent you from covering your run line. So a run line bet is a combination of 2 things. It's a combination of your starting pitcher holding the opponent's offense to minimal runs, and I think we have that here. And then your offense being able to score runs, I don't want to call it at will, but have runs being scored at a higher rate than maybe you normally would. And I think we have that here. So then you take that and you go, that works out for me because I can get it. I bet it at plus 105 today. I got that the Atlanta Braves minus 1.5 plus 105. That's the second bet that I'm giving out as actually a bet that I made. And then the last bet, you guys. So let me explain run line just for a minute. I think that most people look at this the wrong way. I think that most people will look at the run line and they're going to go, let's go look at the New York Mets today. They're minus 200. Oh, I like that. But I don't want to pay minus 200. So what are they on the run line? And let's play them at like minus 130. So that they're changing their money line bet to make the run line bet work into the dynamics of the price they want to pay. Don't do that, please. The run line is not part of the money line. They're not. They don't go hand in hand. The run line is part of the total. So the total in the game is 8 or whatever the number is. Then the run line is a derivative from the total, not from the money line. So when you then look at the money line and you go, oh, this is minus 200, that has nothing to do with what the total is. So it doesn't match. It doesn't make sense. That's not how you want to bet run lines. And because people don't do this, you miss out on opportunities. So the game I'm getting ready to talk to you about is 9:29, 9:30. This is Toronto and Arizona. This is Kikuchi for Toronto, and this is Gallon for Arizona. And I told you the run line because I'm playing Arizona -1.5 on the run line at +135. That's the number. And they're -150. But I'm getting them at +135 on the run line. So that's the play. Now let me explain it to you just a little bit here as I'm doing this. So flip this back around to where we can go to the situational stuff. So Zach Gallen, last 28 days, SCOPS plus 58. 58. We just said Sale was a 54. So he's right there, like one of the best pitchers in baseball at 58. He's 42% better than average pitcher at controlling opponent's offense. And then for the season, he's an 86. Now, he hasn't had his best season, to be honest, but that's still good. At home, he's better than he is on the road. That's kind of a common knowledge thing. So most sports books kind of, when Gallon's at home, bump the number a little. And I think the number's bumped a little bit on the money line because of that. But his home number is a 76. So he's 24% better than average pitcher at controlling the opponent's offense at home. And in day games, he's an 84. He's made 14 starts. You would think a guy that's this good would be in those 14 starts, win 9 or 10 games. He only won 7. They're 7-7. He's had his struggles. So he's not a guy I'm always on, but in this particular case, I think it works because they're facing Kikuchi for Toronto. Now, Kikuchi's probably one of the most underrated good pitchers in baseball. If I were to show you what the projected WAR numbers are for Kikuchi, he's a 3-something, and for Gallon, he's a 2.8 or something. Kikuchi's actually higher. And a little bit of that has to do with Gallon being hurt and not pitching much. And once he gets his stuff going, he might then surpass that number. But the truth of the matter is, if you were to just take a snapshot of today and go, what are these guys supposed to look like at the end of the season? Kikuchi's supposed to be better. So as we look at this, Kikuchi's made 19 starts. He's been a little unlucky in some of his starts, but he's made 19. He only won 5 times. 5-14. So that puts me on the Arizona side immediately. I'm like, okay, well, how else can I look at this? Well, over the last 28 days, Kikuchi's a 143 SOPS plus. 43% worse than an average pitcher at taking care of the opponent's offense. So that's not good at all. In fact, 143 is the second worst. The only one worse than that's Rodon today. But he's a 143. That's not good at all. And we already picked on Bello at 142. So we picked on those two guys. So kind of keeping that theme, right? So that's why we're on this. And then when you then combine it with the idea he's a left-handed pitcher, the Diamondbacks are the 4th or 5th best team in weighted runs created plus against a left-handed pitcher. They're 16% better than average offense. Okay, so that matches up good. He's a 43% worse average pitcher at taking in the last 28 days. He's a 117 on the road, and he's a 110 at home, or 100 at home. He's average at home. He's worse than average on the road. Okay, good. He's on the road. We like that. So situationally, again, would I rather have him at home or on the road? I'd rather have him at home. Well, we're betting against him, so we're in a good spot. He's on the road. And in day games, he's a 138. At night, he's an 83. One of these guys that maybe has that problem where, his stuff is easier to see during the day. Or maybe he just can't handle, the bright sunshine. I don't know. His issue is 138, 38% worse than average in day games. So if you had your choice and you wanted to pick a spot to bet Kikuchi, you would want to bet him at night and at home. Well, he's on the road and he's in the daytime. So we like all that. So far, everything is lining up to say, let's go see what kind of offenses and well, let's go break down some more pitching, right? Let's go see. So then you start looking at metrics. Well, metrics wise, Kikuchi's right there, 2.58, Sierra 2.64. Those are great numbers, and Gallon's a 3.14. So not much variance there. So Kikuchi's a good pitcher. He just struggles at certain things. And you know what? He's got a great strikeout rate, 13.13. So balls in play could be an issue here. But where you run into some of this, you go, well, where's his problem? Okay. Well, his problem is he gives up 3 home runs per 9 innings. That's a big issue because that's what teams are trying to do, damage, home runs. He gives up 3 per 9 innings. His mistake rate is minus 0.76, the second highest on the board today. That's his WPA. It's not very good. It was better earlier in the season. He still got a positive number for the season, so he was really good at the beginning. And now he's making all these errors. And he's the highest hard hit rate guy on the board. So those mistakes get hit. They get crushed, hit. Like they're right over the middle of the plate and bang, there they go. Batting average against 300. He's not getting anybody out. He's striking people out, but if you put the ball in play, it's probably a hit. So then you look at it and go, well, how does Arizona do in those spots, right? Do they have an offense that can work with that? And the reality is their offense is 9th in baseball right now. They're scoring almost 6 runs a game at 5.7 runs a game. They don't strike out much, only 19% of the time, and strikeout rate's like 23%, 24%. So they're in pretty good shape there. And weighted runs created plus, they're 13% better than average team. They got 4 guys carrying the offense. 3 of those guys, Carroll, Marte, and Suarez, those guys bat pretty close to each other. Marte and Carroll specifically back to back in the lineup. So that really helps their offense generate runs. When you pull it all out, and you look at how their offense does, they got 4.4 in a batting order, kind of offensive WAR number. And when you look at what Toronto's doing, they are 20th in offense, 19th in isolated power, minus 6% versus an average offense, and they're 3-3. So they're minus 5. They got more guys pulling things away from them than they do adding to them. And they don't have anybody that's over 2 WAR that's driving the bus. Everybody's just little guys. So I like the idea here that we have a better offense. We have a pitcher we can take advantage of. We might not get him in the first inning. It might not be the second, but we'll get him. He's going to have that big inning where he makes mistakes. We have a better bullpen. Our bullpen ranks 11th. Theirs ranks 29th. Toronto ranks 29th in bullpen. So I like the idea that once we get the lead, we can hold it. And or if we have to catch up and try to get the lead, our bullpen can come in and hold the other team to not scoring many runs. So I like that idea. And then, it's the hard hit rate, and you put Gallon at home. I think it all matches up. My numbers in this game was Arizona 5.7 runs and Toronto 4. There you go. And you bet this game on the run line, not on the money line at minus 150 because that's a juiced number. And then you play them on the run line and you get it at plus 135. Yes, you got to win by 2. But the point of this is I think you can. There's nothing that Toronto's doing that scares me. And Arizona's on a surge right now. Arizona's a team that's 500-ish right now and getting ready to give the Padres all they can to hang on to second place in the American League or National League West. So I think that those are the 3 plays, and I think that's how you bet those 3 plays. And kind of as a recap, you got Kansas City first 5 innings money line today with Singer against Bello, kind of attacking Bello there. The Atlanta Braves on the run line, we're playing Sale against the Padres, and we're playing Gallon on the run line against Kikuchi in Toronto. So I like all those. Those are the games that I'm giving my guys, and those are the games that I bet personally. So if you were with us yesterday, that's exactly what I did yesterday, was gave out the premium plays on my website. That's what I did today. These are games I personally bet. Don't always be able to do that on the show. Sometimes I have way more time to dig in and do different stuff and give you guys a lot of different other things to think about. So anyway, we got a huge show today. Jay, thank you so much. Jay says, awesome show. Have a great day. I will do that. And I won't be back probably until Friday. And the reason isn't because I don't want to be. It's because there's no baseball. I'm not going to do an All-Star game show or a home run derby show unless it's on with Jeff, and Jeff wants to talk about something, that way. I'm not going to do my own show that way. So I don't think there's a lot for me to talk about that way. I want to make sure that you guys do a couple of things. I appreciate everybody that's here. There's a lot of crowd on watching the show today. If you follow me on my website, follow me on Twitter. That would be great. And it's not because I want the follows, because that's not it at all. I'm trying to grow the site. I'm trying to grow this channel. I'm trying to grow things up. But follow me on those things because it helps. All that stuff helps. And then when the shows come out, whether you're watching it on, because these shows go out on Twitch and they go out on YouTube, they're on Twitter here, they're on Facebook. Do the likes and the subscriptions and all that stuff. Obviously they don't cost money to subscribe. You just click the button, and when something comes up, it says, "Hey, that show's getting ready for on." Because ultimately the goal is to get sponsorship for the show, grow the channel, grow the things, get things to be in a different look, different format, do some fun things. And if you do those things, that's really helpful. On the other side, if you want these plays, you like the engagement, you like the stuff, we're getting a lot better engagement. Jay's talking a lot. We got Amber on here today. Marty was on today. Mr. Jenkins asked me about, plays and wanted me to break some stuff down. So this is great. This is what this channel is about. If you have questions, make sure you ask them. Best way to ask them is through Twitter. You can ask them through here. I can do it live, however you want me to do it. I can break down a game, whatever you want, because I want you to get the stuff out of this channel that you need. And I want it to be a spot where you're not getting it from a content creator. That's not what I do. I gamble for a living. That's what I do. I make my money or I go pay for my food and my gas by the stuff I win. And I will tell you this, when you make that transition and that's how you make your income, boy, oh boy, does every single dollar you spend on a bet and every single thing you do matter. And it does. It's way different than these guys that are out here that tell you all this stuff, because they're not invested the same. So I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to show you from a perspective of what a true gambler does, and give you insights on how I think and what I'm looking at. And I learn too. So there might be something brand new that pops up that I incorporate and put into all this stuff as things go. But I'll explain all that stuff as I do it. Football's coming. So I do this for football too. So if you're interested in football, we'll be keeping this thing going and growing. If you want to become a member or a client and get all the data and all the stuff that I reference and all the things, it costs you $100. Just go to my website, mlb-daily.com. There's a link in there that says membership signups or something. You click that, and then it comes to another link. You click that button, and then you pick the membership you want. But pick the one that's $100 because that's the best value right now. And then you just put in your credit card. If you like to do it Venmo ways, if you like to do it PayPal ways, whatever, just shoot me a DM. I have all that stuff. I just that's stuff we can do. But anyway, point being is, if you want to be a client, you want to be a member, we can do all of that. If you want, whatever you want to do it, however you want to handle it. If you just want free stuff, there's stuff on the website. There's plenty of information there. I'm just bad. Haven't been able to get in there and type a bunch of stuff. My wife's a big Halloween person, so I'm out here building stuff for Halloween right now. So as things go along and as we get going, please support the channel. Please support me. Please try to make this thing really grow. If you like the stuff that we're talking about and like the topics, this is how it works. We keep it growing, we keep it going, and then all of a sudden, man, we got something special. So, guys, if you don't need anything, I won't see you till Friday. If you have questions, if you have concerns, DMs are always open. Questions are always open. You can ask on Twitter. You can ask me however you want. You go to my website. My email's there. You can contact me through my email. Anything you need, and we can go from there. So, guys, it's Sunday. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. Try to get outside today a little bit. Have some fun, and good luck on your bets.